I had a difficult time, remaining honest and showing, saying this or that would project that image appropriately. So because I didn't believe in the company, I had a hard time selling the company, and I had a really hard time identifying with it. Hopefully I'm not too far off base there. Question number 2, discuss the similarities and differences between organizational identity and identification. So organizational identity is what the members of the company, what they see the company as. Identification is when I see myself as intertwined with the company. This is talked about on page 240. 240, does that sound right? Okay, yeah, 240, sorry. So when I consider myself as one with the group, I'm intertwined. I identify well with the values or the way that I see the company. I can see myself as being a part of that group. So the same company that I've been talking about. So my first few years of the company, I was really committed to the company. I poured my time into it. I was very devoted. I identified well with what the initial image of the company and how I saw the identity of the company as initially. As time progressed, however, I began to see the company image change. Our reputation fell from failing for clients. And so the organizational identity that I saw was no longer something I could really identify with. And so, after a few years, I started looking at other companies. I started looking around for a company with a strong reputation and a good customer service and a quality policy, that everybody didn't have something bad to say about. I wanted to be part of a team that I could identify with. Let's see, so now the case questions. Review each section of chapter 7 and 8 and pick out some ideas to better understand this case. So overall the case was Kate takes this job with this company, Donaldson Foods. Jeff Donaldson is, gets her on board. She initially isn't interested, but, he approaches her and gets her on board with the whole idea, brings her into the company, dangles the right carrot that just happens to be what she's looking for in front of her, and brings her on board. She starts to feel, or she gets given a project, and that project, she gets it up to a certain point and has to turn it over to management team, and then it falls in the black hole, as they describe it in the case. And so it's Kate's struggle with coming into this company with one image, and then it slowly morphing into not being the same image anymore, not identifying well. And so, kind of what I described with my own situation in the past. So let's see, so chapter 7, approach to leadership. So the case on page 1, Kate takes on the job. In that section, she describes Jeff Donaldson as being charismatic and sincere. She really sees him as a good leader. This is, it affects her judgment of why she decides to take on the job. One of the things that I identified there was that Kate sees leaders in terms of their traits. This is an example of the traits approach. She noticed that he's charismatic and sincere. She sees positive traits of a good leader, and that affects her judgment when she decides to take on the job. He then has some additional comments about, taking levels out of the top and bottom. I can't remember the term that they used, but he has a few things where he empowers and inspires his workers. Kate does this. He inspires and empowers her, and she works tirelessly because of that. These are examples described on page 205 as transformational leader. So I felt that I really see Jeff as having a lot of the right traits, and also he really demonstrates some of the qualities of a transformational leader. So I totally get where Kate got pulled into this situation. Section 2, followership. So Kate shows that she is willing to challenge the current ideas. She's in that meeting, and she brings up, kind of an aggressive approach. She she's kind of challenging one of the current ideas. She gets barked at for it, but this is a demonstration that she's willing to challenge management and leadership within the organization. Trying to bring about new ideas. She's also very hardworking and very supportive, and so I really feel that she's demonstrated that she strives to be a partner, as described on page 211, in terms of her followership style. So she's very dedicated and totally willing to be a partner in all this, though I doubt that that'll be for very long. Number 3, mentorship and coaching. So Rich Clark is her immediate supervisor. He scolds her for being too aggressive in that particular meeting I mentioned. This is an example of supervisory coaching, as talked about on page 221. Tom, on the other hand, isn't her direct supervisor, and he's really more offering counsel and encouragement and trying to give her an idea of what the culture here is and what to expect. And really, he takes on more of a mentorship approach. It's somebody that she respects and looks up to because of his time in the business. And so he page 217 talks about a mentor, and I believe that Tom, in this case, is being a mentor towards Kate. Chapter 8, I had a little bit harder time wrapping some of this into the case, but so for organizational identity, Rich, in his scolding of Kate, he refers to the Donaldson family way, and I really feel like this is Rich in his supervisory coaching, trying to pass on the culture of the company. The Donaldson family way, being nice to everybody and not challenging, the status quo is really part of the culture. And but then later on, so Tom talking about, telling how it is to Kate, mentoring her. This is an example of the identity of Donaldson Foods that Tom sees. So the identity that he's developed over time for the company, in his mind, he sees it as this monstrous beast that will never change very quickly, and it's just a good place to go and collect a good paycheck. He really expresses that his heart and soul is not in it, so he doesn't identify with the company very well based on how he sees it. And I think that covers the organizational identity and the identification in chapter 8. The diversity part of the chapter, I didn't really see how the case applied, honestly. There's obviously a female worker there. They don't talk anything about anybody with disabilities or other issues. There were no issues that came up because she's female. So I'm not sure how diversity would fit into this. But maybe I'll learn something from somebody else's video. And that's all I got for tonight. Thanks, everybody.